We all waiting on. All right, I believe we have enough members present. If the clerk will call the roll.
Senator Barfoot. Here. Senator Carnley. Senator Coleman.
Oh, here.
Senator Elliott.
Here.
Senator Hatcher.
Here.
Senator Hovey.
Here.
Senator Jones.
Here.
Senator Kitchens.
Here.
Senator Livingston.
Here.
Senator Price.
Here.
Senator Roberts. Senator Singleton. Senator Smitherman.
Here.
Senator Wagner.
Here.
Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Shelnut.
Here.
Carnley, sir.
I know.
All right, we have 14 members present, enough for a quorum. We'll begin with SB 252. We have a public hearing. Senator Beasley. Is Senator Beasley here?
He's on his way.
Oh, he's on his way?
I may outrun him here.
Senator. And today is his birthday. Are you ready to sing for him when he shows up? We'll wait a minute for Senator Beasley. All right, Senator Beasley, is your birthday coming up soon?
They said it was this morning.
I woke up with a birthday today.
All right, well, you are on tap, SB 252. Thank you. Welcome.
Maybe today the birthday present will be past this bill.
Happy birthday to
Thanks everyone. I appreciate that. I'm a young 85 today, so it's a good day. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I want to first of all say why this bill is important and why we are here. I've practiced pharmacy for 60 years. I retired 2.5 years ago. And I remember that the only discount a drugstore received in the late 60s, if you paid your bill on time, you got a 2% discount. Things began to change a little bit in the late 60s. I remember a company came into Alabama from Florida. And they said, if you buy a $20 line item, they give you a 10% discount. Well, in 1968, the cost of prescription drugs was very small. And at that time, most of the corporations who provided insurance benefits, it was all done on major medical. And the drugstore industry at that time was very competitive. When you fill a prescription, you set the price based on cost of doing business and a fair profit. And you had to always, as we've always done, is take care of our patients. That's what we've always done. Well, things began to change in the early 80s. PHIP and CHIP, two of the biggest agencies in the state that had a lot of employees and provided health benefits, they were challenged with setting up a network of drugstores in Alabama to provide prescription services for CHIP members and PHIP members. So the drugstore industry was asked to meet in Montgomery or Birmingham. And they were told that there's going to be a pharmacy network set up, and that if you didn't participate in the network, then you wouldn't be allowed to. Customer base from PHIP and CHIP could not do business with you. So naturally, all the drugstores in the meeting signed up. And at that time, 1984, the only contract pharmacy that stores in Alabama had was with Alabama Medicaid. So once the contract, everybody signed into the network, then you begin to have a contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield as a network pharmacy, and they had the business with the state teachers and state employees. And at that time, a drugstore was paid full wholesale. You received your discount, plus a moderate fee of $3.45, and the patient paid $5 copay. Remember, it was 1984. On a generic drug, you receive $4 for the pharmacy service, and the member of CHIP and PHIP paid a $2 fee. That was the beginning of contract pharmacy in Alabama. Since that time, the pharmacy benefit manager business has rapidly grown. And I think they've always gone into employer groups and said, if you let me manage your benefit, we'll save you money on your prescription benefit for your employees. Well, in 2025, the price of prescription drugs have escalated like I have never seen. That's the reason this Senate bill is so important. Every drugstore in Alabama, first of all, is a business. They just happen to be a licensed pharmacist to run the business. So the drugstore industry has a cost of doing business. The PBM industry does not consider the cost of doing business for a drugstore. And I think when you take away a discount, that's the only way you had the revenue to take care of the cost of doing business. The PBM industry has never allowed, if you fill a prescription for tablets, you got to put it in a bottle. That's an expense. The expense of a little small bottle's gone from 5 cents to about 30 or 40 cents. You put it in a liquid, that bottle can cost up to $1 just to put the medicine in it. And if you reimbursed wholesale minus 20 plus a fee of $1, you've lost money. It has become apparent in 2025 that the retail drugstore industry in Alabama, they're facing a crisis. They're filling prescriptions for brand name drugs, and the PBM industry is not paying the actual cost that the drugstore had to pay for the drug. The drug costs $100, and you get paid $80, you've lost $20. Then the fee that's paid by the PBM industry, maybe $1, may go down to 25 cents. It's totally unfair. And then, just think about cost of doing business. You got to have a building, first of all, so you got to pay rent. You got salaries you've got to pay. You have computer expenses you have to pay. You have to install a computer. Now, every time you have a computer, there's a charge. And we get charged all kind of fees when you submit a claim into the PBM industry. The drugstore pays for the claim to submit it. And the PBM receives a clean claim that they don't have to pay for. The drugstore pays for it. In today's world of electronic prescriptions, the drugstore pays for the electronic prescriptions. That's wrong. The wrong entity is paying for that. So the bill that's House Bill 250, Senate Bill 252, I believe. I don't have that number with me. Senate Bill 252. This bill will address that you cannot process a claim and be underpaid for the cost of the drug. It also has a provision that if you're underpaid for the cost of the drug, presently you can't discuss it with the patient, the cost of the drug, the cost of the copay. And if you as a retail business and you lost $20 on a prescription, it's justified that you should be able to talk about it. And that's done in private. If you buy an automobile, you certainly discuss the arrangement of the cost of the automobile, the discounts you receive, and how much you pay. The reimbursement for the prescription under Senate Bill 252 is based on the way Medicaid is set up in Alabama. And that's the average cost of a drug plus a fee. And it's really a pharmacy service. It's called a fee, but it's a service for providing the filling of a prescription for the patient. And really, if a drug costs $100, and the prescription is $100, the majority of the cost is the cost of the prescription drug. And in today's environment in the retail drugstore industry on brand name drugs, the drugstore is losing money on the purchase of the drug before the prescription is even filled when he bought it from the wholesaler. In the last about 15 years, the pharmaceutical industry used to send detail men around to the doctor's office and to the drugstore to talk about the products they were going to recommend for treat certain conditions. Well, today we have direct-to-consumer advertising, and it's all day long on all the networks. It's in magazines. Any type of advertising to reach the public is being done. The cost of that advertising is incorporated into the cost of the drug that the retail drugstore has to buy. Another inflated cost of the product. The Department of Insurance will regulate Senate Bill 252, regulate the PBM industry, and the Board of Pharmacy regulates the practice of pharmacy. We're probably one of the most regulated professions in the healthcare field. You know, the opposition has talked about, started last year when we had a bill in the House of Representatives, that this is a tax. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, this is not a tax. The retail drugstore industry is trying to stay where they're not losing money and having to go out of business. We've lost 3 drugstores this month that had to close because they did not have enough money in the bank in order to pay their wholesalers to buy the medicine. This past year, we've lost over 50 drugstores in Alabama. The drugstore plays a vital role in the delivery of health care for the citizens of the state of Alabama. The retail pharmacist has worked closely with healthcare providers since the beginning of time. Whether it's a medical doctor, whether it's a dentist, whether it's a veterinarian, whoever the healthcare provider is. We've also played a role, kind of a gatekeeper. The retail drugstore operator has always been very accessible to the consumer or our patients. Many times they will come in to the pharmacist, talk about their condition, and if it's a condition that warrants medical care from the physician, pharmacists will make the recommendation you need to make an appointment with the doctor to be seen. That is a way professionally done to really benefit the patient, to get them to the proper medical facility for care. I'm asking this committee, when it's time for a vote, to pass Senate Bill 252 to allow the drugstores in the state of Alabama where we can remain open and provide pharmacy services to our patients and the citizens of Alabama. It's not right for a drugstore to lose the money that we're losing today because the cost of business is not considered and we are underpaid on the cost of the drug. You know, it used to be until the last few years, the generic industry was the way that everybody was saving money. The more generics that were utilized, then the insurance company that contracted with the PBM, their overall cost was decreased. Today, the retail drugstore is being underpaid so much on a generic that they're filling prescriptions for less than 25 cents. We can do something about it. We can prevent the citizens of Alabama from not being denied access to the drugstore of their choice. It's an access bill, it's a choice bill, it's a fairness bill, and it's not right for the retail drugstore industry in Alabama to be underpaid on the service they provide by pharmacy benefit managers hired by the business community. We all know that if you're in business in Alabama or anywhere else in the United States, before you set the price of the product you sell or service you sell, there's a cost of doing business. And I'm going to repeat it again. That factor is not considered for the retail drugstore environment. And that is fundamentally wrong. So, Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. You just hang around. When you talk to you about an amendment, I don't think you're aware of yet. I want you to talk to Ms. Ashley back here while we start the public hearing.
All right.
First up, there's going to be 3 minutes per speaker And so first up, we'll start with, we have 3 opponents and 4 proponents. So Robin Stone, first opponent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, stand at this podium where my friend Senator Beasley stood. His commitment to the practice of pharmacy and to his service to his district is unquestioned, and we appreciate his service and his commitments. Chairman, I am Robin Stone, and I represent the Alliance of Alabama Healthcare Consumers. We are a membership group dedicated to employers who provide healthcare benefits. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today about this important issue. Senate Bill 252 is a compilation of the 2 other bills that have been before this committee before. Many of the elements of the 2 previous bills remain in the Senate Bill 252. I don't have time to talk about all of them. I know you'll be all glad about that, but I am going to speak about the cost aspect of this piece of legislation, specifically about the impact to employers. This new bill still adds significant cost for pharmacy benefits to every one of the 22,000 Alabama employers that have benefit plans all throughout the state. This bill reduces the value of a family's health care plan by adding new permanent cost. This bill still contains a $10.64 dispensing fee that will be paid to a small group of pharmacy owners on prescriptions covered by Alabama employers that will be passed down to employers and their families all throughout the state of Alabama. To my knowledge, there has been no analysis done by this by the Legislative Fiscal Office. Our best estimate, and quite honestly, just on simple math. I'm a simple guy, I went to Auburn, but I can do a little bit of math. Our best estimate, quite honestly, is based on that this $10.64 fee will generate $664,000 per pharmacy, based on the average number of prescriptions they issue in a day. That new fee will generate $484 million to Alabama independent pharmacists that are in operation today. The new bill is limited, as you know, only to Alabama community independent pharmacists. That is a substantial amount of money. Those costs will not be absorbed by pharmacy benefit managers. The cost of the dispensing fee will flow down to Alabama employers and then to the very same customers that these pharmacists service in their communities. The cost of this new bill is entirely directed toward Alabama employers and the private sector. The drafters of this legislation in this version seem to recognize that the severe cost of the impact on the state's 2 public health care benefit programs, PHIP and SEIB, and that is a very good thing. However, Alabama's employers, those 22,000 people that have health care benefit plans, they're left alone to bear the entire cost of this. As of today, the state of Alabama has no financial investment in providing support to states and independent pharmacies. Normally, if a public body like this legislature or the Congress...
Thank you, Mr. Stone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, first proponent, Ms. Jessica Hung.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Jessica Hung, and I'm a pharmacy owner and clinical pharmacist in Sims, Alabama. My story is unique in that I'm not from our great state, but decided to practice here after falling in love with the underserved patient populations I encountered in pharmacy school. I felt like I could make a difference in their lives, and so far in my career, I feel like I've been able to do just that. I'd like to continue, and so I'm asking you for your support of Senate Bill 252. Our pharmacy is known for our unique services we provide to our community and surrounding communities. I have patients who drive 2+ hours to receive transplant vaccines at our pharmacy because they cannot find healthcare practitioners closer to them that offer these services. In addition, we provide packaging and delivery so that many older patients in our community can stay in their homes instead of going into a nursing facility. We go above and beyond for our patients every single day because we care and we want to make a difference in their lives. We go into patients' homes, into community centers, and into low-income housing units to serve our patients. We work closely with our patients' entire healthcare team so that they can reach their healthcare goals. I have countless examples and patient testimonials to share, but unfortunately, I only have a few minutes. Unfair reimbursement and lack of transparency has forced many pharmacies in our state to close their doors. We have recently had to stop filling many medications for patients so that we are not another statistic. Our one example was a diabetes medication that we were losing $300 on. I wish I had been able to tell that patient the truth, but unfortunately, due to a PBM contractual gag clause, all I was able to tell him was that we were no longer able to stock his medication. I followed up with him because I care after he didn't transfer his medication to another pharmacy, and I was told that he couldn't find it elsewhere because no one was stocking it. This broke my heart because I know the truth, but I also know that these repetitive losses on countless prescriptions are unsustainable. I'm now working with this patient's doctor to change his medication, despite it working fine. Losing access to this medication is not fair for this patient, and it wouldn't be fair to the many other patients we serve to lose access to our pharmacy and the unique services we provide if we are forced to close our doors. Please vote yes today so that every single Alabamian retains access to care and the unique services that independent community pharmacies and retail community pharmacies in our state provide. You'll hear an amendment today to exclude specialty medications, but patients on specialty medications are especially vulnerable, and they should also be included in this bill. Again, all patients. If pharmacies continue to close, all patients are going to be affected. Vote yes today to Bill 252 as is so that practitioners
Ms.
like
Hong.
myself will, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next opponent is Helena Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to have this moment to talk to you. I come before you today on behalf of the business community in opposition of this proposed prescription fee. This new fee will place a heavy burden on Alabama's businesses, causing them hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Local pharmacists face a very real challenge with reimbursement problems. We recognize these challenges, and we want to stand firmly with the pharmacists in seeking a solution to address these issues. In fact, there's many provisions in this bill that we support. In fact, there are many times when we have said there are opportunities for us to help the pharmacists, but we just cannot do it on the back of our businesses. So let us be clear that shifting the financial burdens from pharmacies to the Alabama employers is fundamentally unfair. While I understand that PBMs are the real targets here, we have to acknowledge that the law of economic dictates that when the cost of goods and services rises, these costs are ultimately passed to the consumer. And in this case, employers, particularly small businesses, will have no choice but to either absorb these additional costs or pass them to their employees or customers. Our team at BCA has proposed 6 fairer, more balanced solutions that will ensure that local pharmacists do not lose money, including avenues in which the state helps shoulders the increased cost. Unfortunately, these solutions have not been considered. The immediate alarming reality is that no other state has introduced a prescription fee like this one. Its potential passage in Alabama could set a dangerous precedent, prompting other providers and industries to follow suit to seek guaranteed profits. We are concerned that in the efforts of addressing these challenges of pharmacists, we are overlooking the broader small business community. In Alabama, 99% of businesses are small entities. These businesses operate with tight margins and disproportionate impact, and this would disproportionately impact the prescription fees. So rather than a temporary fix to this issue, a more effective approach would be a thorough exam of the problem through a study to identify the root causes. This would lead to the development of a meaningful, sustainable solution that can deliver long-term success. I urge you to work with us for a more reasonable, fair, and sustainable solution. We stand ready to collaborate with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan, and thank you for 2 seconds to spare.
I'll give you that back.
All right, next up, proponent, Mr. Joe Burns. Oh.
Afternoon, Chairman and Senators. I'm Joe Burns, third-generation pharmacist in Tarrant, Alabama at Kessler's Pharmacy. My family has served Tarrant community since the 1950s, and we've been a pharmacy since 1931. We love our community, and we're proud to care for it. But today we're here because pharmacies like ours are in trouble, not because of competition or innovations or lack of business, but because of corporate greed. Pharmacies exist to serve. Our job is to take care of everyone in our community, not just the profitable ones. Last week, had a Walgreens down the street from me close. Hundreds of patients now looking for a new pharmacy. We would normally be very excited about that business, but we're actually very hesitant. More prescriptions might actually, continue to push us underwater with negative reimbursements. So there's a whole patient population that's not being served currently. Where normally we would want to scoop them up and make sure they're taken care of. It's pretty crazy. When do businesses stop chasing business? You know that there's a problem. There's thousands of reasons why a pharmacy can close. Filling prescriptions should not be one of them. PBMs are middlemen that are profiting while pharmacies around the state are closing. SB 252 is a lifeline. We all agree drug prices are out of control, but slashing pharmacy reimbursements is not the answer. SB 252 has a cost plan similar to Alabama Medicaid that's been around since 2010, and it won't make us rich, it won't let us thrive, but it'll allow us to keep our doors open and help continue to serve our community. You'll hear opponents calling the dispensing fee a tax, or that it's going to add $10 to every prescription. That is a lie. Why would we want to raise the costs for our patients? We wouldn't. That's not a thing we want to do. SB 252 prevents that, and better yet, with pass-through rebates and equalized reimbursements, employers will save money. Multiple states have already proved that it can work, and our own Medicaid system has a similar payment model that we've had for almost 15 years. I love what I do. I want to keep caring for my patients, but pharmacies are hurting under this broken PBM model that we desperately need to reform. SB 252 isn't just a bill, it's a chance to protect access for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, opponent, we have Robin Ricks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm Robin Ricks with Manufacture Alabama. We represent a wide variety of manufacturing companies who have invested billions of dollars and employ more than 270,000 men and women across the state of Alabama. As we did during the public hearings on Senate Bill 93 and Senate Bill 99, I stand here today to express our industry's opposition to several components of Senate Bill 252. I would like to convey that we understand the critical value of the services provided by Alabama's community pharmacies. We also understand the difficulties faced by all businesses as we endure the rising cost of doing business today. We echo concerns about increased costs to health insurance premium payers, but our chief concerns with this bill are the effective date being upon the governor's signature and a new private right of action, which exposes our members to immediate lawsuits for noncompliance. Manufacture Alabama's members are proud to be great corporate citizens. We request the committee consider extending the effective date until an agreed upon time, which would allow our companies the opportunity to adjust their operations accordingly, and that you remove the new cause of action. Our desire is that manufacturing companies can continue investing in their team members, investing in their communities, and contributing to our state's thriving economy. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. All right, next up, proponent Ginger Barron.
Thank you for having me this afternoon. My name is Ginger Barron. I've been a pharmacist for 29 years and own Cornerstone Family Pharmacy for the last 15 in Gadsden. Previous to owning the pharmacy, I was the last director of pharmacy for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. So I know a little bit about manufacturing. tires. We've seen, and I've experienced a little bit about manufacturing tires. We've had both sides. I have a unique understanding of the manufacturing perspective, and my heart goes out to these HR managers that have to actually manage and negotiate with the PBMs. There are solutions to these issues, and I think the SB 252 is the first step in the process. I was asked to talk about the impact of my pharmacy in the community, and I could talk about that for hours, so yeah, I don't want to hear that. But we triage patients. We do screenings for our police and fire. We teach diabetes. I do immunizations. The things that we do are just immeasurable. I do want to speak to some things that when we close, and I say when, if this bill don't pass, that this is going to impact my community. First of all, I have 12 people. I employ 12 people. They're going to lose their job. We have around 400 pharmacies left in the state. 4,000 people are about to lose their job. That's implications in state and municipalities and local governments. That's going to have a big impact. Secondly, we have over 50 Suboxone patients that will lose access to the medication they need to be productive citizens. They depend on us. They need us. They work their way back to a situation where they can actually be a productive citizen. On March the 6th, 2 miles from my store, 2.27 pounds of fentanyl was intercepted by our law enforcement agency. The impact of closing independent pharmacies will be decreased access to vital medications and possibly increase illicit drug use. Other pharmacies cannot handle what we do for Suboxone. And I don't know what my patients are going to do, to be honest. Lastly, independent pharmacies are champions for hospice care. If we close, the impact is felt in our most vulnerable, our sick and our dying. When a family member is dying, the last thing you need is deal with access to medications. Hospice patients don't have the luxury of dying on a schedule. Amazon can't get there fast enough, and the big box stores are not open in the middle of the night. So, independent pharmacies at this time fill a vital role in that. Independent pharmacies have committed our lives to serve Alabamians. It's how we define ourselves, and we're essential to the process. PBMs can send their letters of confusion and harass people with phone calls all day long, but they do not have relationships with our patients. Without this legislation, the people of Alabama are being cheated out of the care they've relied on their entire life. Don't let that happen on your watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. All right, we have no more opponents. We have one more proponent, Mr. Colton Thompson. Welcome.
I appreciate y'all having me here. Thank you for hearing what I have to say. You'll have to apologize. My rhetoric's not very polished. I'm just a small business owner. I'm a patient. I have no ties to anybody in here. But I can give you a little background of what I deal with and what my wife deals with. We both were diagnosed pretty young and have dealt with prescription costs, prescription accessibility our whole lives. I'm 32, my wife's 31, or I'll be 32 in April, Lord willing. So all of the things that we've dealt with typically trace back to PBMs. I have to go back behind them and do their job. You know, for them to get paid so much, they really do they really do very little. I have to go back behind and make sure they get the prior authorizations done, that make sure they get my prescriptions in on time, make sure that I've been to where I have to have my medication because I get it every 8 weeks, and I've had to call the day before and they didn't have everything ready. So I'm having to go back behind them and get everything done, which is unfortunate because I hear about all of the money that they have access to, and I really can't understand why they can't get their job done. On top of all that, my wife has to drive an hour just to get medication. We found one pharmacy within driving distance of our home, and after school, she works at school. She drives up there, takes time away from spending time with me and our son to go get her medication. And I really don't think that's fair for her to have to do. It would be great to be able to run down the road and get it, but they've told us it's too expensive for them to get. And then on top of all of that, the biggest thing that I can't understand is how PBM saved me money is going through a PBM. My drug cost is $28,000 to the insurance. If I go through an independent pharmacy, it's $11,000. Still not really digestible, but it's a lot better and a step in the right direction. So I would like the opportunity to have that choice to go somewhere. And so, and the same thing for my wife, and not have the illusion of free will, I guess you'd say. And I'll say this to wrap it up: the most stressful part is not dealing with our diagnoses, not dealing with our sicknesses. It's always been for decades. And it's hard, is dealing with all this stuff to try to get what we need just to live normal. That's all it is. That's the most stressful part. It's not going to the hospital. It's not emergency room visits. It's not doing all of the other stuff that goes along with the sickness. The most stressful part is dealing with the PBMs and trying to get the stuff that we need to just be functional. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, members, I have an amendment. If you'll turn to page 10, line 277, I believe you all have a copy of this amendment. All it does is replace line 277 and 278. Line 277 was struck through and it wasn't supposed to. I have a second by Senator Livingston. Senator Smithman, do you have a question?
Yes.
Comment, smart aleck remark?
You don't really want me to give a smart aleck remark. I'll defer until 3 o'clock. And I'll just say it like that. Now, getting back to what I was raising my hand about, and he does get a little extra privileges because that's my local delegation man. So we do have a little local relationship. But I just want to be clear, is that I understand why this amendment. Okay, I understand that. I understand. I've been explained thoroughly. So I don't want folks to think that people supposed to explain it have not. But I heard this young lady up here, one of them said that we ought to, I guess, leave it like it is or something. She said, whatever it was she was saying is the opposite of this, of this amendment that we getting ready to do now. Now, can somebody share with me, not why, I mean, they've done a good job, but is this the right thing to do from a health standpoint? That's my question, from a health standpoint. I know from an economical standpoint it is, but is this the right thing to do from a health standpoint?
We have someone that can address it. Senator Beasley, if you want to address it, or we can. I've been told you are good with the amendment, but I'll let you
That's
address it.
amendment with specialty drugs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm good with it. I think a lot of drugstores in Alabama can handle specialty drugs. They're somewhat expensive. I had an experience with specialty drugs about 4 or 5 years ago. A pharmacist in Calhoun County had an arrangement with a pharmacist in Tennessee to fill those prescriptions for a particular specialty drug. And they had a disagreement, and he and I knew each other, and he asked me would I fill those prescriptions for him. And it was for a hemophilia patient. And they were very expensive. And I ordered the medicine, kept it in the refrigeration, put it together, sent it, the nurse picked it up, and the nurse and his team went to the patient's home and injected the medication for him. So I know that most drugstores can do that, but I will accept the amendment. I don't have any objections. I just know that any drugstore can do it.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a follow-up question. In relationship to the cost, and I'm just going to give you an idea of what I'm saying about the variation of cost. This is not the ideal situation which we're talking about, but it does illustrate what I'm saying. As I mentioned to someone I talked to, that I went to a drugstore Monday, okay, myself, and while I'm inside, someone drove up in a car in the window. And it was a situation where, because of, I guess insurance or whatever it was something about that. But anyway, there was a gap and the medicine, they asked what was the price of the medicine. And the medicine was like $800 and some dollars. I'm just sitting there listening. I'm about to go out the roof myself. I said, what? But the pharmacist said that, the pharmacist now said, let me see what I can do. And whatever she did, that person only had to pay $69, okay, from the $800, because of what the pharmacist did. Okay, now, my question about this, because this is a specialty medicine and then we take this amendment, does that mean then, because it's, quote, like you say, expensive, are we going to be saying that, okay, if a person got a specialty problem, have to have the medicine, they pay $2,000? If it's not a specialty, then it'd be considerably less. And while we giving the green light to charge them $2,000, I just use $2,000. If they're not, the specialty medicines are not a part of this, or am I exaggerating a little too much, or when I get at analysis between the comparison and contrast?
Senator Beasley, and being fair to you, you didn't see this amendment. You hadn't had a long time, but Ms. McLean, could you help us out and answer his questions? Because I know you presented it to him.
I just want you to know that she has answered the meat of my questions, but I don't mind. I mean, you the chairman, but okay. I don't know if this is going to give me my answer. Okay. Because I've talked with her. Okay.
Senator, the bill actually defines specialty drugs. And so they are prescriptions that require special handling, administration, or monitoring and are used for treatment of patients with serious health conditions and need complex therapy. So, and it's my understanding, and I know when speaking, I can speak from a PHIP perspective, that they have to credential the pharmacies that are specialty pharmacies for them. And so when they were looking at that list, I think there may be one or two in the whole state that they had credentialed to handle specialty. And Senator Beasley has spoken, obviously in favor of specialty. It's important to him too. But the cost of including specialty, as I told you earlier, increases the cost of the legislation significantly. And so that was one of the issues. But they're currently getting that medication, I think, through mail order. And in some instances, I think is that correct, Senator Beasley? I don't want to tell anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. It would have to be mail.
So that's how they're currently receiving some of those.
Through.
Right, so that's, and that was part of the conversation leading up to the final draft and revisions of the bill, was that they would not be included. So it was erroneously left in.
Then the question is, being left out versus going in, what is going to be the difference in the cost? If we're saying that it's going to be a considerable amount because it's a specialty, but it's a specialty outside of the bill. I'm talking about, I'm going to help you out a little bit, and I'm going to be narrow with this.
Okay.
I'm talking about to the patient, to the people. I'm not talking about to the businesses, the PM, I'm care about people. And so my statement is going to be what I just said to you, related to people. I don't want to hear about PMBMs, I don't want to hear about business, I don't want to hear about fun. Right. I want to know what's going to happen to the average citizen who's got this unique illness, and I can just give you an idea of what, if you want to bring it on home personally. My mother had leukemia back in the 60s when it wasn't hard to cure anything. And it was out the roof, and it was things that I had to do to give blood transfusions every 6 weeks of my life for 5.5 years because we couldn't afford it. That's the only way she could get her medicine, get her things. So I know what these people are talking about when you got people like that. So that's my question I'm asking you.
Right.
And I'll let you address
This
it.
doesn't change anything that is currently happening in the law. This is the current law. That line that we're just unstriking, that is the current law. So nothing's going to change with how their money's, none of that's changing right now. And then there is language in the bill that does not allow this to be passed on to the consumer, the covered individual, at the counter. So there's protections there for them as well. It should not change anything for them.
Well, I'm going to vote for it because I'm going to respect the agreement and the negotiation. I believe in that, and you should respect it.
And any additional information, I'm happy
So I'm
to
going to
leave.
vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. All right, I have a motion on the floor and a second by Senator Livingston. If the clerk will call the roll.
Senator Barfoot.
Aye.
Senator Carnley. Senator Coleman.
Aye.
Senator Elliott.
Aye.
Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Jones. Senator Kitchens. Senator Livingston. Senator Price. Senator Roberts. Senator Singleton. Senator Smitherman.
Aye.
Senator Wagner. Senator Williams. Senator Shellnut.
Aye. All right, SB 252, the amendment is adopted. We're back on the bill. Senator Livingston makes a motion for favorable.
Second.
Second by Senator Coleman. Using previous rule of no objection. Seeing none, SB 252 receives a favorable report. Thank you, committee, and you are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee.
Good job, Senator Beasley.
I want to say that to the senator. Thank you so much. You made this easier. Your expertise on this issue as a colleague really was helpful in understanding it. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And he said bring him a piece of cake on the floor, too.